If you think this year's Met Gala is political, but didn't think that about previous Met Galas, you probably won't understand the Met exhibition. And yet, you are probably exactly who should. So, the Costume Institute at the Met is sort of an unfunded mandate. The collections really grow out of the work of many society women in New York, but they are not endowed like the rest of the museum. And this is partly about the conceit that fashion isn't like a real art. And some of that has to do with the idea of women's work, like it's women's fashion. And so the gala is their big fundraiser, and costumes cost a lot. Fabric is fragile, and hanging it and understanding it because it changes so quick is expensive. So by asserting that they need the money and that fashion is important, you already have something that is political. And in the early days, it was $50 for a dinner and a dance. Like all things since World War II, things have gone up in price and they've become more corporate and more public. But I wouldn't say that the wealthy were more in touch with the people before. It's that in our time, we have a better look into them. And the hangers-on of the wealthy are living super public lives. So in many ways, it's that we are catching up to how political this event is. And we can see gaps, like being on the side of Marie Antoinette in a society where we have more wealth disparity than the French Revolution. Now, the vast majority of collections that are at the Met's Costume Institute deal with people who are white. So this year's exhibition, super fine. Being about Black tailoring is important, but exhibitions take years to plan. While there might be a couple curators at the Met who think they're superhuman, no, they didn't have pressure. Not just this year, that anti-Blackness, particularly against Black men, was incredibly important flashpoint. Yes, the majority of this country voted for racism instead of collective good. But we've had centuries of racism against Black people. And this show is about those centuries in some ways. To me, one of the most important installations that will be there are these to W.E.B. Du Bois, who, say, in 1925 is doing correspondence about some tailoring they had ordered. So Du Bois, for example, was born 3 years after the end of the Civil War to free Black people in Massachusetts. But he was living in a time where most Black Americans would have had been enslaved in their own history or in their parents' history. In other words, he shows that the stories of Black men in America are not a monolith. And to me, that is one of the most essential parts of this exhibition. To choose style is to choose individualism. It's to assert humanity, but in a society that refuses to hear that, this is even more important. So if you think that this exhibition is political this year, probably weren't listening before.